Taiwan's defense ministry criticized the mainland China government for increased balloon activity over the Taiwan Strait and Taiwan Island over the last month. Days before a presidential election, some balloons have flown directly above Taiwan, with at least one detected around a military airbase. When asked about the balloons, China's defense ministry dismissed allegations of interference and accused Taiwan of trying to manipulate the election. Beijing denies it uses balloons for spying and says they are just weather balloons and have strayed from their flight paths. China's balloons grabbed international headlines in February also, when the US shot one down after it entered US airspace and flew across the country. Taiwan's ruling party presidential candidate Lai Ching-te said that he would maintain the status quo if elected and remain open to engagement with Beijing under the principle of equality and dignity. Taiwan will vote on January 13th for a new president and parliament in an election that China has cast as a choice between war and peace. Despite this, Lai pledged to try to engage with China and that peaceful development is in the best interest of both the sides.
I will continue to uphold these policies, which are in the interest of both Taiwan and the international community. I will maintain the status quo and continue to bring society together with the framework of the Republic of China, Taiwan. Our door will always be open to engagements with Beijing on the principles of equality and dignity.
DD India correspondent Andrew Wood is joining us with more from Hong Kong. Andrew, Taiwan has accused China of threatening aviation safety and also waging psychological warfare on the island's people with the balloons. What do you make of the situation, or for that matter, how do you gauge the severity of this latest development?
Well, certainly there are more balloons being sent than there were a couple of months ago. The latest from Taiwan's Ministry of Defense, it now reckons it's seen 4 balloons in the past 24 hours and that 2 of them have flown over the island. And this, I think, is, well, as you say, it could be a threat to international aviation, although the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Beijing, when asked about this on Monday, basically ignored the question or said that, you know, this was not the case, and pointed out that Taiwan is, it says, Chinese territory, and so this is a domestic issue and nothing to do with the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Obviously, the timing is important. There's that presidential and parliamentary election on Saturday. China seems to be putting pressure on Taiwan, or seems to have been putting pressure on Taiwan more and more over the past year by flying more and more warplane missions into the airspace that Taiwan claims as its own, and sending warships also into areas of water, areas of the sea that Taiwan claims its own. Of course, there's the big problem that it just all backfires. That even though the Chinese government said about 2 weeks ago that it would hope that the Taiwanese would make the right choice, I think were the words used, in this election, I think that the Taiwanese might well feel that they want to, well, stick the middle finger up at China and vote instead for the parties that want to distance Taiwan from China.
All right, Andrew, also now that we see Taiwan will be will be progressing for parliamentary elections. At the same time, China has also accused Taiwan of trying to manipulate the elections. Put all this together, what do you make of the war of the words? And also, will these incidents, because this is not for the first time that a Chinese balloon has been spotted, because we saw in February also the Chinese balloon was shot by the US for flying over its territory. How do you see the developments? How do you see this incident develop from here on?
Well, Taiwan gets pretty good marks from a lot of international organizations that monitor how democratic countries or nations or territories are around the world. So I think that China's accusation that somehow Taiwan is manipulating the elections does seem, I think, a bit desperate. It looks at the moment like the well, not anti-Beijing, but the the politician William Lai, who wants to put distance between Beijing and Taiwan. He seems to be the person in leading position in the polls at the moment. The opposition who are more in favour of links with Beijing and links with China, they had the opportunity to try to get together and agree on a single opposition presidential candidate, and they failed. So it looks as though it's going to be a well, not pro-independence, but certainly a pro-distance person who becomes president of Taiwan in the next week or so.
All right, Andrew, thank you for joining in with those details.